Greetings, welcome, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I am Jerry Usher, good to have you with us, and I am once again at studios of Redeemer Radio, and their Spring Share-a-thon is moving right along. Thanks be to God, it's coming to an end this afternoon. So I want to encourage all of those. I know we're not being heard on Redeemer Radio right now. They're going into their new hour of Share-a-thon. But as Debbie and I always like to say, please, wherever you happen to be, your local Catholic radio station can use your help. It is pledge drive season, so please don't forget to pick up that phone and make a call, make a pledge when your station asks you to do so. Our phone number here is 800-585-9396, 1-800-585-9396. Today is Unscripted, and so that means you get to set the table with anything that you would like to talk about. If there's something going on in the world where you live or in the broader world, feel free to pick up the phone, give us a call. We'd love to talk about that. Maybe you have a comment on a past broadcast, a past Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Feel free to bring up a question that maybe you wanted to ask on a previous show but didn't get a chance to get through. 1-800-585-9396. Debbie, how you doing?
Doing great, Jerry. Doing great. I love Unscripted because it gives a chance for all of us to get to know one another just a little bit better and, have some suggested future topics, maybe comments. I like it when it's really positive, though. That was hilarious. But anyway, Unscripted is wonderful. I just think it's a great time for us to connect with the Take Two family. So call in 1-800-585-9396. Let's make this a really fun, productive show. Jerry and I how many times have we done Unscripted, Jerry? What, half a dozen, I think?
I don't think it's been that many. Has it been that many? Maybe it has.
I thought it's been, I think this might be our fifth or sixth one. What do you think?
Wow.
I'm going to check.
You may be right. Well, I love the interaction, and really every day on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, we try to let you set the table with your takes, but usually, as you know, we have a topic that we present to you, and we just want to look at it from a different perspective, and you are the ones who teach us every day, and you teach each other, and you support each other. But on this Unscripted show, it is really, definitely your turn to set the table. I mean, if we didn't get any calls, then Debbie and I would just have to... I don't know. We'd have to talk to each other, talk to ourselves. I don't know.
Yeah, we could have like a working meeting on the air. That would be fun.
How boring.
Oh, we get kind of creative though with show topics. I think we kind of see if they relate to people's lives, and it's really fun and very, very. I think it's very. There's a certain process that we go through. I think we pray about it, and we kind of really think about if it's going to be pertinent to people's faith walks. And I think it helps all of us. I mean, I know when we have these brainstorming sessions, Jerry, I walk away with lots and lots of notes. What is the problem? I think I need to go to therapy or something. I take way too many notes.
You do take a lot of notes, which is good because I don't take nearly as many as I ought to. So... But again, dear listeners, it's Unscripted today. So Debbie and I have no agenda, no topic, no plans. We could certainly bring up some things to talk about. And like Debbie said, talk to one another or to ourselves. But we want to hear from you. What's going on right now? It's Easter season. Maybe you came into the church. Maybe you had just a great experience sometime during Lent. Maybe you went back to confession for the first time in a long time. If you got family things you want to talk about, like we said, any previous topic on the program, 1-800-585-9396. And you can also text us your comment or your take. Text the letters EWTN to 55000. There may be a data rate depending on your plan, but look forward to hearing from as many of you as possible today.
So this is Unscripted. If you just tuned in, this is your chance to really ask us anything. Of course, within reason. Come on, you got to be within reason. But this is your chance. So don't sit this one out. Just jump in and dial 1-800-585-9396. That's the number to get on the show. You're going to talk to Matt Kabinski. He's wonderful to talk to, and then you're going to listen live, and you'll come right in on the show. So we want to hear from you. This is Unscripted with Jerry and Debbie. This is your show, Take Two. And we're going to hit the pause button. We go back. When we come back, we're going to go right to the phones. So stay with us the entire hour. It should be fun.
Welcome to EWTN's Catholic Almanac.
It's April 28th, the optional memorial of St. Peter Chanel. He was a missionary in the New Hebrides, converting many to the faith because of his compassionate care for the sick. The king was afraid of his influence among the people and had him killed in 1841. It's also the optional memorial of St. Louis de Montfort, born in 1673. St. Louis is best known for his total devotion to Jesus through the Blessed Virgin.
CNA is the only fast, reliable, and free Catholic news source that brings blogs, stories, and opinions to your fingertips. The latest Catholic news is at CatholicNewsAgency.com, an online service from EWTN News.
Dr. Ray Guarendi.
Psychological correctness is ruining parents. What is psychological correctness? It's the idea that says if you just say the right words with the right logic, using the right reinforcement schedule, and implementing the right I message, Melody will say, "Oh, Mother, I've just been so blind. Of course, I see parenting as you describe it." Psychological correctness is a quagmire. It leads to analysis paralysis, overthinking, overanalyzing, overtalking, under-enjoying. Psychological correctness essentially makes parents search for the appropriate ways to do it. Better to ask, how well is this working? In my family, with my children, and my morals.
Hi, this is Barbara McWiggin.
This is Bishop Robert Barron of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles.
This is Dr. Greg Popchak.
And Lisa Popchak.
Thanks for listening to EWTN Radio.
Friday, take two with Jerry and Debbie about once a month. What we do is we just put the question out to you. What do you want to talk about? And by the way, that's Debbie, that's something anybody can weigh in on any time. We get emails at take2@EWTN, people suggesting topics, and I'm at Redeemer Radio, and I was talking with one of their volunteers yesterday, and she says, "Hey, I've got some great ideas you guys should cover." I said, "Send us an email." So we always love to hear from people for topics on the shows, but here on this unscripted show, Deb, it's just whatever anybody wants to bring up, and we'll all just share a little chit-chat about it.
I think it sounds great. So here's the number, 1-800-585-9396. That's to get on the show live. Or like Jerry said, you can text us. You text the letters EWTN to 55000. Wait for a response. Put your first name in, your question or your comment, and we'll put it right into the show at just the perfect time. Just keep in mind that small data rates may apply. Okay, so as promised, first up is Sean, and Sean is driving through Massachusetts and listening to the Station of the Cross. So since it's unscripted, Sean, we hope you have a headset on and you're driving with your seatbelt on.
My seatbelt is definitely secured. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Thanks for taking my call.
Hi, Sean.
So I don't know what made me call, but I had sort of a notion. So I came into the church on Easter Vigil a week and a half ago, and it's been
welcome home.
My conversion has just been an amazing experience. I'm so grateful for it, and I've at 52 years old to have a fresh set of eyes.
Oh, we got a bad phone connection there, Sean.
Sean, yeah.
You still there?
Oh,
all right,
Sean.
We'll have to have Matt pick up there, and I really want to hear this. First of all, it's beautiful to hear that Sean has come into the church, and Matt will pick. Sean, if you're still with us, hang on. We were losing you on the cell phone, so Debbie, why don't we just jump over to Jean in Colorado, listening to Denver Catholic Radio first, and Jean, then we'll get back to Sean. Hi, Jean. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi there. So I was just calling in to get listeners' ideas on how to laugh with your kids, age 5 through 20. And so right now I'm mopping my floor, getting ready for a confirmation and reception this weekend. And I'm a serious mom. So I'd like more ideas on how to laugh with my kids.
Do you watch any good Christian comedy or anything like that? Because there's some nice, clean, fun shows and movies that just allow you to just be that free spirit and sit around and just laugh till your stomach hurts.
Well, that's a good idea. And honestly, we don't really watch that much TV because we don't have cable and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. During the school year, we're just kind of busy getting homework done, getting dishes done, going to bed.
Okay.
So just having more joy in the house. Maybe you can recommend a few movies as well.
Well, yeah, actually, Jean, if you want to email us at take2, the number 2 at EWTN.com, if you can do that, I can pull some of the ones that I have in the house. I'll actually go through my library and take a look at some of them. But here's the thing, too. If you want to fill the home with just more kind of, I like to say, kind of just a goofiness that just happens where it's playful, it's fun.
Yeah.
There's songs. There's lots of songs. I know. I used to have, believe it or not, Veggie Tales. Do you remember the Veggie Tales?
Oh, yes. Veggie Tales. Love them. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. We used to laugh at the tomato and the thing. It was hilarious. And we would change the words of the song. I mean, and you can do that too, Jean. You can change the words of songs just to make it fun and playful. And it's that I think music has a way of just relaxing the spirit and just calming things down in a sense if things are tense, like with homework or something like that. There's so many things you can do of that nature. I know my family was very big on just putting on music, and we would just do just crazy, just silly dances around the house, and and we would all just do it together, or the chicken dance and stuff, and it was just silly, but it was so relaxing. So I don't know if that at all helps. Jerry, did you do anything fun like that at your house?
Oh, we used to just knock the snot out of each other. Mom would say, "You guys." First of all, there was five kids. Mary was the oldest, God rest her soul. And then the 4 boys, Jerry, Joe, John, and Jim. And if we, need some, let loose of a little energy or have some fun, she'd go, John, Jim, Jerry, Jim, whichever all of you, just get out of the house. Go do something. So, anyway.
Well, see, I think my problem is my oldest is 20. And so 20 years of Veggie Tales can get a little tiring. So my poor 5-year-old doesn't have a lot of that fun stuff.
Right.
So maybe I'll just hang up and listen, and maybe I can generate a new list from the listeners' ideas.
Absolutely. And if you can email take2 at EWTN, I'll go through my movie list, and I can give you some ideas that I used to have. They used to play all the time. But right now, I've been moving my mother to a new assisted living facility all week, so my head's a little clouded.
I got it. Okay, well, I'll mop the floor and generate my list as I listen.
Thanks,
Jean, before you go, I would also add there are some really wholesome comedians.
Yeah.
Jim Gaffigan is a Catholic comedian, Gaffigan. I know there may be others as well. Forgive me if I'm slighting anybody out there, but Jim Gaffigan, if you just do a YouTube or a Google search for him, I'm pretty certain all of his stuff is very, very clean. In fact, he's talked about how humor can help people live the church's teachings on marriage and family and things like that. So, Jim Gaffigan, I just love to watch Catholic comedy once in a while. It's funny.
Right, and joy is, what is attractive about our faith. So, I need a little more joy. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jean.
Thanks,
Thank
Jean.
you.
God bless.
Beautiful. Okay,
we got Sean.
We got Sean back. Sean, I hope you pulled over safely to the side of the road. We're glad we got you back because we were sitting in suspense. Sean, you got to finish the rest of your story.
No problem. I am pulled over, so thank you. So as I was saying, I came into the church on Easter Vigil. It's been quite a ride. For me, I lost my mother in September, and I didn't when she was sick, I didn't have any faith. I was confirmed a Lutheran. I don't know. I never thought I lost my faith, but I clearly did. And I never understood God to be a loving God the way that I do now. And so my conversion was such where I was sort of disparate, and I walked into the Catholic Church, the local one in Scituate, and I was praying. I didn't know what I was praying to, and a woman came over and she talked to me and consoled me a little bit. She handed me a Padre Pio medal, and that's my confirmation name. And my arm went hot, and I had an experience like I never had, and I've never looked back from that moment. I've never had that kind of peace before. I haven't had a drink since that moment. I'm living a different life. I'm thinking differently, and as slowly as the graces of the Holy Spirit come into me, I'm changing, and it's for the better. And it's an amazing experience. It's a crazy blessing. It's as any grace, it's something that's undeserved. But I'm not going to stop. I know that. I'm going to stay on this journey, as it's been. I could tell you stories and the things that I've seen and the signs, but the love and the peace that I feel is beyond anything that I've ever comprehended in my life, and that's the bottom line.
Wow, Sean. Yeah, I'm glad we got you to a place where your cell phone was coming through clearly, Sean, because I would have hated to have missed that, and Debbie, I know you would too. And I'm just, Debbie always talks about the Holy Spirit goosebumps, and I really got kind of chills too there, Sean, because when we really allow God to work in our lives, which you have done, God has done so much for you. And sometimes, I was talking with some people recently, and I think we get afraid to really let God work. And one of the show topics, Debbie, that you don't know about yet, that I've got on my list to add to our calendar, is giving God permission to work in our lives. It sounds kind of odd, like, you're giving the God of the universe permission. Why would he need permission? Well, because he's a gentleman. And Sean, you've been a gentleman with him and really let him into your life. And Debbie, I know you share with me the inspiration that I'm feeling from Sean's call.
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. Sean, I have Holy Spirit goosebumps all up and down because especially you mentioned Padre Pio. I don't know how long you've been listening to Take Two. I have a very strong personal devotion to St. Pio, Padre Pio. And as a matter of fact, Sean, if you go back on our YouTube channel, Jerry and Debbie on YouTube, go back to the show we did in September of last year on the feast day of Padre Pio, or right around the feast day of Padre Pio. I mean, it got just a ton of views, and it was an amazing show. But there's no accident to that, Sean. And first of all, I don't know if you heard Jerry when we cut out initially when you first called, but Jerry said, "Welcome home." And I just want to echo that again. Welcome home, Sean, because it's so beautiful that you are on fire for the faith, and you have already felt the active ministry of the saints that have lived on this earth, like Padre Pio, because so many times when the saints pass and go into heaven or in heaven, we think they've stopped their ministry work. No, not so. We know that from Saint Therese of Lisieux. She's going to do more work when she's in heaven, and that's how Padre Pio is as well. So obviously, you, by your encounter that you have shared, you have experienced that already. My prayer for you, Sean, is that fire in your belly that you're feeling, or that fire in your soul, I pray that it stays like that the rest of your life here on earth, because that's a blessing.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Catholic radio helps with that, Sean, because it reminds us constantly. And that's what's the beauty of Catholic radio. And you have a great station with Station of the Cross. Jerry and I are going to be there May 1st for your pledge drive coming up at the Station of the Cross. But that's the beauty of it, Sean, because we all need to hear it on a regular basis. Otherwise, the world starts to cave in, and we forget sometimes. We just go unconscious a little bit. So when you have Catholic radio and you can at least tap into it several times a day or all day long, it helps to really enhance your faith journey.
Now, I would agree with you. And as a new Catholic, where everything's kind of new, there's so many outlets of devotion and adoration and prayer and meditation. And, I've been dabbling in some, but it was my experience the first time with the Rosary was on the television channel. And, I've had some great experiences with that. I've found my lean into sort of in the beginning has been Eucharist devotion, and to have meditated on that for 6 months prior to actually participating in the Eucharist was an amazing prep for that experience. And I can only speak from my own experiences as a 52-year-old father. The RCIA class that I went to was fantastic, and for me, it was a history lesson. There was no proselytizing at all. It was facts that I could, with my free will, absorb and process accordingly. And there was nothing that I couldn't accept or anything that I couldn't see as true. Having had a basic faith going in, there were some things in the Catholic faith that were definitely sort of additions. The concept of Mary and the love around that, the Eucharist and its being a pure body. But the irony is when I go back and read the scriptures now, and having gone through that, the truth is in there. It says it explicitly, and I wonder sometimes why others might interpret it differently than what is actually stated. But I don't really get into other people's things. For me, it's an answer that I've been searching for my entire life, and I'm looking for Christ passively all the time, and actively when I'm in situations to guide me now. And that's a completely different approach as opposed to me pushing my own self-will. I turn my will over explicitly in the morning to God and ask him to run the show. And it's a heck of a lot easier to row than it is to steer. And I'm not steering anymore. And that's a relief in itself. And to be able to, and takes practice, this is not a one-time thing, but when I'm doing the right things, to be able to rise above the stress and distress and anxiety of the day-to-day earthly things and be able to come at it in a more spiritual way and realize that it's just details, is an amazing, amazing tool to live with. And I don't know how I did it, and frankly, I probably didn't do it that well until I had that tool. But I'm not going to give that up anytime soon. So I really appreciate you letting me share. I love your I love your show, and I love the station, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Sean. God bless you. All good stuff, and do listen next week. Debbie and I will be at the Station of the Cross, as she said, and it's their turn to be supported. So, Sean, please pray for them, and if you can, make a financial gift. Just the one thing I wanted to comment on real quick before we're going to go to John next, and we've got Anastasio and open phone lines here on Unscripted. But Debbie, I was just touched by what he said about having that period of about 6 months before he was able to receive the Eucharist, but meditating upon it during that 6-month period. As a cradle Catholic, I think you are too, Debbie. That's never been something I've had to go through. To have that longing, that anticipation, that waiting period, and so. I just really applaud those who come into the church, who become Catholic, and especially when they have to go through that period of waiting and expectation. But it must be absolutely amazing for someone like Sean when he finally is able to receive Jesus in the Eucharist.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And what I was thinking, too, as Sean was speaking, Jerry, and he said he was a dad, I'm thinking, what a blessing to his family. I mean, now he is just a strong Catholic leader in his family, and I'm just giggling with the fact that his children are going to benefit so greatly from his on fire outlook and attitude to the faith, and just how he's going to take it. He wants to take it forever, and I think that's wonderful. And he's already leaving a legacy just by his determination in the faith. I just think, wow, his family's blessed. His wife, his children, wow, amazing. Okay, so Unscripted, that's today. Here's the number, 1-800-585-9396. You can ask anything within reason. We would love to answer it. And it's just a wonderful time for us to connect as a family. So we just heard an amazing life journey by Sean into the church. And how beautiful is that? We got to celebrate that together because of Unscripted. So thank you for that again, Sean. Okay, so... Oh, there's that music. That means we're going to hit the pause button again. So stay with us, because after this break, we're going right to John in Oregon. And others, you are getting screened right now. Hold on. This is Unscripted, Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie, and we'll be right back.
We know you like listening to Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio, but have you thought about bringing them to your next event? No matter what type of event you're hosting, parish mission, conference, or retreat, trust Jerry and Debbie to make it come alive. Begin the process today of taking your presentation to the next level of success. For information on booking Jerry and Debbie, visit take2show.com, click on the J&D logo. Living the Beatitudes with Father Bjorn.
Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. I Can't Get No Satisfaction is a popular song, but it could be a summary of our life on earth. In the book of Genesis, we hear that we're made in the image and likeness of God. That means that we can know the truth and we can choose to do good to others. We can love. It comes to fulfillment in the Sermon on the Mount where we hear these Beatitudes. It's the standard of the Christian life. Jesus tells us that if we hear what he says and do what he tells us to do, we will be like wise people who build our house on solid rock. But we make progress towards happiness and blessedness by our actions, and it starts with our interior disposition, what we want to choose. Do you and I hunger and thirst for those things that will lead us to happiness and to God? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Check out EWTN's official YouTube channel.
Just follow the link on our homepage at EWTN.com or go to YouTube.com/EWTN.
Watch EWTN's live shows or today's homily from the Daily Mass.
Click the upload button to see our most recent clips.
You can also find all of EWTN YouTube content by clicking the playlist button.
It's all on the official EWTN YouTube channel at YouTube.com/EWTN.
Visit today.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
So nice to be with you here on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. As Debbie said going into the break, today it's unscripted. Actually, you write the script on this program. We just love to give you the opportunity to call in and weigh in, share anything that's going on in your mind or your heart. I just want to let everybody know and give a shout out to Kyle Hyman from Redeemer Radio, who is sitting here enjoying the broadcast in the what would we call this, Kyle? Storage room, I think, at Redeemer Radio. Kyle is the host of the Kyle Hyman Show.
Nice.
Mornings, very, very popular show
Hi,
on
Kyle.
Redeemer Radio. Yep, Debbie, Kyle is nodding and saying hi back to Debbie. So just wanted to let people know that. All right, John in Merlin, Oregon. John is listening to EWTN Radio there. John, I'm very familiar with Oregon, but not Merlin. Can you tell me where exactly that is?
It's just north of Grants Pass.
Okay, a little bit of southern Oregon. Yeah, well, thanks for your patience, John.
Yeah, so
you waited a long time.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said you waited a long time, so thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. So I've got two questions for you. My first question is, in the gospel, Peter was asking Jesus if he could be at his right hand, and he said only God knows who can be at his right or his left hand. But if Jesus and God and the Holy Spirit is the Holy Trinity, I'm wondering why wouldn't Jesus be able to know that?
Well, that's a good question. You know, there are several instances in the Gospels where Jesus seems to not know something. I think, doesn't he say only the Father knows the day or the hour or something? And what we have to look at, John, is I don't know exactly. I'm not Tim Staples, so I can't quote chapter and verse, but there's a passage in one of the Gospels where it says it was after it was when Jesus was a boy, and I think he got lost in the temple, and they found him, and he went home with his parents, and I think they said, it says something like he grew in knowledge and stature, or perhaps it's after he's teaching the elders when he's a child or something. But anyway, Jesus was able to set aside his divinity, his glory, by choice. As God, he can do anything he wants. And so I think here's how I like to put it. If we look at the Eucharist, we see a piece of bread and a little bit of wine, but we know that by the words of consecration of the priest and the power of the Holy Spirit is the body and blood of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And if Jesus can choose to, as they say, veil himself in those elements, the bread and the wine, so that he is not really detectable, by the human eye, and it's St. Thomas Aquinas, in his great song, says it takes faith to believe in that. So, by extension, then we have to believe that Jesus, who is both fully God and fully man can limit, I guess, in his human nature, he can limit his knowledge if he so chooses. And Bible says he was like us in all things but sin. And so we have to believe that he learned from Joseph, how to learn to trade, and had to learn the Jewish prayers from Mary and Joseph and all of that. So I don't know if that helps any. Does that help to put it in perspective?
Yeah, it kind of puts it in perspective. It is confusing, but this is only my first year in the faith. This Easter was my 1 year anniversary, so I'm still learning the gospel, still reading, but that's just one of the questions that I had so far. But another question is, like I said, this is only my first year. I've been watching the show The Walking Dead for years, and it's a very gory zombie apocalyptic show.
Right.
When you're watching the show, you kind of feel like somebody that you don't like should be killed.
Right.
I was wondering, since it's make-believe show, is that still a sin for me to watch the show every week and love the show, even though it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like it's a sin, but then I say it's make-believe, so is that something that I would have to go to confession and confess about?
Okay, so John, first of all, we're not priests or of that nature, or any type of deacons or any spiritual leaders in the church actively right now. Although I was a religious education director for many, many years, and similar situations used to come up all the time with other shows. Jerry and I are not really familiar with the Walking Dead series. However, we do know that a lot of people are very much attracted to it and kind of hooked on it. But the thing that I would ask back to you is, what is tugging at your heart that that is, you kind of have this gut feeling that there's something wrong with it. But before you answer, let me just share something. If you type in The Walking Dead and you put blasphemous next to it, several articles come up, which means that there are things in that series. I don't even have to watch it, but there's things in that series that obviously are not okay. So you know where I'm going with this. So if there's things that are going to make fun of the church or make fun of Jesus or change the direction of what we know to be truth about Jesus, anything like that, even though it's attractive and even though it's make-believe, those things are not enhancing your spiritual growth at all. Okay. They are attractive from a human standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint, they actually can put subconscious thoughts, believe it or not, even though if you reject them as false, they can put subconscious thoughts into your being to where, okay, you see where I'm going with this? Okay, so now let me, back to the answer then. What is tugging at your heart that you know it's wrong? You must have seen something on the show.
Well, basically there's... in the show, there's the main character, and then there's these really horrible other characters that that the main character should kill. And if he doesn't kill the bad people, then his whole group that he's been trying to save for the last few years are all going to perish. You know what I mean? So of course you're going to root for him to kill somebody, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I shouldn't be trying to root for somebody to kill somebody else. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. Okay.
But in the show, they don't necessarily, it's like an apocalyptic show, so they do have biblical references, but it doesn't necessarily say it's real or fake in the show. I'm just talking about rooting for somebody to kill somebody else, basically. And that's what the whole show's about. And I was just wondering, is that something I would have to confess to? Because I'm in my mind telling the guy to go kill him, but of course it's just a fake show. So I'm wondering.
Wow, that's stuck. Yeah,
I would tend to say not. I don't think it's something that's confession material per se. I think if somebody were to take it to an extreme and maybe sort of like be almost taken and start living your life in that manner or acting out, a lot of people take ideas from TV shows and movies. And John, we're not saying that you're doing that, but Debbie, I wouldn't say watching something like that is necessarily something that we need to be taken to confession. I would just say, if it were me, I don't watch much TV at all. I've never seen this series. I would tend to not watch it simply because I think it would weigh down my spirit. I just don't think it's that healthy. It's not that edifying. So, sorry, John, not criticizing you. A lot of people watch this kind of stuff, but maybe just look for something that's a little bit more uplifting and spiritually edifying, and that might be the way to go, Deb.
Right, absolutely. And also, John, because you are new into the faith, although welcome home because this is your home, the faith, I would also talk to a deacon or a priest at your parish, and just so that it can relieve the feelings that you're feeling, because you don't want to feel burdened down that you're doing something wrong when you may just have a good intention of just sitting down and wanting to relax and watch TV. So talk to a priest too, just to relieve that, because you don't want to have that burden. Okay. Thank you, John, so very much. Great questions. And just, this is awesome. Sean and John coming into the faith and on fire for the Lord, Jerry. See, this is why we do this show.
And no doubt. Now, great calls, and we're going to continue along here on our Unscripted show. David, listening to EWTN Radio in Eden, Ohio. Hello, David. Welcome to Take Two on this Friday. How are you?
I'm fine this morning. And yourself?
Doing better now that you called.
Okay, my question is, what is your thought or take or idea, or opinion, I should say? My brother and I are both in our middle 50s. We've been divorced, and we take communion each Sunday when we go to Mass. Now, several years ago, I and my ex-wife had 3 daughters. Several years ago, our middle daughter, Amanda, told me, "Dad, you're not supposed to take communion." Now, I got back the story up. Neither one of us marriages has been annulled, but we do take communion each Sunday. Now, our middle daughter Amanda says, "Dad, you're not supposed to go to communion." Well, my comment to that no sooner got out of her mouth, and I said, "You think Jesus would not want me to go to communion?" Now, I guess I would like your opinion on our actions. Not that we're going to change our actions, but just I'd like to have your opinion.
Okay, so I just need a little bit of a clarification, David. Did you say you're divorced and not remarried? I just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Neither one of us are remarried, and neither one of us has had our marriages annulled through the church.
Okay, but you are divorced, and this was a Catholic marriage?
With mine it was, with my brother's it was not.
Okay, and neither one of you are in any type of relationship?
No.
Okay, I would talk, if it were me, I would go to your local priest, your parish priest, and sit down with them and explain your entire situation just to make sure all the different nuances are covered and see where you stand, because if I'm hearing it correctly, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but David's divorced, he's not in another relationship. What is the standing on that with the church, Jerry?
My understanding is if one is not remarried, there is no problem with approaching the sacraments, including communion. I actually, David, found on Catholic.com, and it's probably on EWTN.com, but one of the first search hits that came up here is an article by Jim Blackburn from Catholic Answers. Let's see, what is the search I did, David? I just did a search, can a divorced Catholic receive communion? And it's a wonderful article by Jim Blackburn of Catholic Answers, and I have not read it yet here, but my understanding is if you're not in a relationship, then there is no the problem with divorce and then remarriage is if it has not been annulled, then there is no marriage there in the second instance, and one remains married to one's initial spouse. So that would be the impediment to receiving communion if there was a new relationship, especially a marriage. But David, it sounds like in your situation, unless I'm wrong, and I'll continue to look into it, you are free to receive communion.
And the other thing I would share too, David, the reason why we had suggested you sitting down with your parish priest is because depending on how the marriage ended or what entailed in the marriage, there may or may not be a need for confession prior to receiving communion, which will put you in good standing at that point. or better standing in the church. So that's where I was going with that, Jerry, just to make sure that he's in the proper state of grace for receiving communion. So David,
Well, several years ago, I went and got papers to do the annulment.
Okay.
And I started doing it. I filled out a little bit, and I started reading through it. And I said, this is crazy. I'm not doing it. All it was bringing up was a bunch of bad memories of a very hurtful, hateful divorce.
Right. Okay.
And I took the papers back and gave them to a priest. That's been several years ago. I said I wasn't doing it.
Okay.
I didn't feel it was necessary.
Right. Okay. But here's the thing, David. I went through the exact same thing. Well, not exactly, because it's your life and my life is different. But mine was very painful as well. And I will tell you that once you get through the paperwork of putting down all of those thoughts and feelings that maybe happened before you entered into marriage and during the marriage time, after that, David, comes great healing. The time that is given when you are waiting for the annulment process to go through its own system, if you will, it's a great time to really kind of center yourself back to where God really wants you to be in that true purposeful state of life. I can't explain it, but I can tell you that I had the same feeling too, David. When I saw that paperwork, I thought, oh my goodness, I don't want to relive this. This is like opening up a Band-Aid, and it's just going to start bleeding all over the place. And I didn't want that. But after I went through it, because this one priest that I talked to, he said, Debbie, just go through the process and trust. And I did. It was so healing, David. That's why, please, I almost am begging you, go talk to your local priest that you really, can identify with and you can relate to, and just sit down again and just even talk about your situation right now so that you can feel in a good place. If the priest says, yes, you can receive communion, I want you to feel good about it. You shouldn't have to, if in fact you are able to receive communion, then you should feel the best you can feel about it, not feel like, wow, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Or if you can't, then at least you go through the process and you can learn why just the wisdom of the magisterium and the way the church is set up, David. I know that it seems some of these processes seem very man-made, but I've got to tell you the divine wisdom in it is miraculous, because it changed me completely. So I don't know if any of that helps, but I'm going to start praying for you, David, and please keep in touch with us, because I just have a funny feeling you're going to meet with your priest and your whole life is just going to open up. I just feel it.
Well, I will talk to my priest. Good. And I will probably go through the annulment situation, but I do not feel one issue of guilt when I take communion. I do not feel I'm doing nothing wrong. I feel I'm receiving my Heavenly Father in Eucharist like we should.
And David, like we said, there is no obstacle to you receiving communion as far as I know. I've been doing a little more research on this, Catholic.com, EWTN.com. It's again, the problem comes in when someone divorces and then remarries, and that becomes an objectively, gravely sinful situation. People divorce for all kinds of reasons. Sometimes it's very unfortunate. The church certainly would frown upon it because of her, her teaching on the indissolubility of marriage and the permanence of marriage, and for the sake of the spouses and unity and the kids and all that. But when it does happen, the church also, addresses those particular issues. So I think you're in good shape receiving communion, David. Be at peace. But I think, Debbie, you started initially right off the bat by saying if there's any question about that, David might want to talk to a priest about that. But David, thanks for the call. We appreciate that.
He said he would, so that's exciting.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
awesome.
I think it's going to be wonderful for him. David, way to go. Great call. You have a beautiful spirit. We can hear it. Grace, you're up next in Bellevue, Ohio, listening on Annunciation Radio. Hi, Grace. Welcome to Take Two.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Doing great, Grace. How are you?
All right. I just wanted to share, right before Easter, you were talking about, the different blessings, and I tried getting through then, but obviously didn't make it. You guys get a lot of callers. But at any rate, what I wanted to share was I am just totally amazed. Back in 2003, my husband had got let go from his job that he'd been at for 31 and a half years. And at that point, we have 3 children, and only one was still at home, and she was going to school, but financially she was all set. The program she chose, and she took a year off to work. So we're thinking, wow, we've got, this income he's getting. The kids are grown. We're going to have, all this extra money to take trips and so on and so forth. And we had these plans, and obviously somebody else had a greater plan than we did. And I have to share that I am thoroughly amazed, because when he got let go, we thought, what are we going to do? Where are we going to get money from? How are we going to survive and all this stuff? And I can't tell you how great the blessings that we have now, 14 years later. We've been blessed with 7 grandchildren, and just, we're not doing all these trips or anything, but we found out we didn't need that. The blessings that we had were there all along with our family, and it just amazes me. And I'm not saying things have been perfect. You always have those little processes and things like that. But that if anybody is in that position, if they just have that faith and realize that God's going to direct them, and He did, and it was just amazing. Like I said, how many things that we didn't realize that were given to us, and I don't know, it's like I said, it's just those blessings are wonderful.
Well, you're certainly living up to your name, Grace, because
Thank you.
Well, because it's all about grace, and I don't believe there's any accident to the way we have names in our life, certain words that are prominent in our faith walk, and Grace, what you shared is exactly what we try to convey to others that are walking the walk and talking the talk, is that God's grace is abundant, His mercy is there, and the blessings will flow if we trust. If we trust.
It's amazing, like you said, if you trust. And that was, my husband and I stayed awake until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning that night, because we were just, what are we going to do? This was not, it wasn't totally unexpected in the fact that he was on salary, and we knew all along when he accepted the salary position many, many years before that there's no guarantees with that job. It's not like it's union anymore, things like that.
Right.
But that's all we kept saying was, well, we just have to trust God and know that He's going to carry us through this.
And He has. Yeah.
Yeah, and He has. And that Footprints poem, that's one of my favorites. And
Yes.
I truly feel like, the whole time we were trying to figure out, okay, where are we going, and once we got a different job and what we were doing. And
Right.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing.
Beautiful. Well, Grace, we're glad you shared that today, because that's going to help a lot of souls. Because we're going into the weekend, and a lot of folks right now, we hear it from the emails, are just down. They're not sure what's going to happen next week. What even tomorrow brings. And when you hear stories of you that you have walked it, you have lived it, and you have experienced God's grace and blessings, this is going to give hope to others. So thank you, Grace. God bless you for taking the time and calling in.
You're welcome, and I hope it does, because it is just live for that moment. Don't cross those, don't worry about the bridge you might never have to cross. Like you said, those people who think there is no hope, there is. It will be taken care of. I am totally convinced.
Amen.
Very good.
Amen. Beautiful.
Thanks, Grace. So nice to hear from you. We're going to try to get to as many of you as we can here. Unscripted on Take 2 with Jerry and Debbie, 1-800-585-9396.
Can I just say something real quickly, Jerry? We're getting a lot of emails and calls coming in now about annulments. Please go to rosesweet.com. rosesweet.com. She is great with resources about annulments and questions and answers all about the annulment process. I hope you're ready to answer the phone or your emails, because rosesweet.com.
All right, so we're going to go to Patricia next, listening to EWTN Radio on Guadalupe Radio in Fredericksburg, Texas. Hi, Patricia. Welcome.
Hello. I had to get my speakerphone off. My hand got cramped holding the line.
No problem. We got about 90 seconds, so if you can be concise, that'd be great.
Is that movies that are good for kids. It's one of them that's the newest one I saw is Hoot. It's about ground owls. And then Lassie and Ren Tin Tin, My Friend Flicka, National Velvet, Shirley, that's Elizabeth Taylor's movies when she was younger, and Shirley Temple movies. Those are all good ones for kids.
You're right. You're right, Patricia.
And then you probably go Turner Classic Movies and find some and put it in movies for kids, and there's more there. There's more, but I can't think of them all.
So wait, the name of the movie, the one that I need to go see right now, is Hoot?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about teenagers.
Oh, very cool.
Teenagers. You got young teens and maybe up to seniors in high school. That'd be a good one to see.
Wow.
It's very
Jerry,
interesting.
Did you say it's a 2006 movie?
Well, I did a little search on it here. I think it came out in 2006, unless there's maybe a sequel
it's been
or
a while
something.
back.
That's over 10 years.
I gotta tape CD of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm an owl freak.
Oh, nice.
I started when I was a young child.
Well, bless your heart, Patricia. You are a dear. Thank you so much for calling in and imparting that. I know that I believe it's Jean. Was Jean our first? Was probably taking notes. So thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, Patrick and some of the others, as Debbie said, we're just running out of time right now. Plus, if you have annulment things to talk over, first of all, of course, your you know this. Patrick just wanted to share that sometimes some people in the process don't cooperate real well. But anybody else, if you would like assistance on annulment questions, divorce, remarriage, communion issues, rosesweet.com would be absolutely fantastic. And Debbie, I really want to end the week on a great note and invite people to check out that bundle that EWTN has put together in the religious catalog with Mother Angelica's Answers Not Promises, along with a 4-inch statue of El Divino Nino. And those are priced together at 20% off. What a great way for people to go into the weekend.
You just got to put in BUN, short for bundle, or short for hamburger bun.
It's not short for bun.
I know, that's true. I just thought of that after I said it. Oh, it's Friday. Well, dear listeners, you did it again. You made Unscripted spectacular. So thank you so much. Keep the conversation going on EWTN Catholic Radio Facebook page. Don't forget to like us and share it with your friends. Or you can email us at take2, the number 2, at EWTN.com. But get ready for Monday, because Monday we're going to be talking about how do you pray for others.
That's right. When someone asks you to pray for them, do you write them on a piece of paper? Do you keep a long list? Do you go through the list name by name, intention by intention? Or do you do what I do and just at that moment just say, Lord, please add them to all of my future prayers? How is it that you fulfill your promise to pray for other people when they ask you? That's Monday. Until then, Debbie, what do we want to wish them?
Have a beautiful and blessed weekend. We'll see you real soon.